Hi, welcome to One Eye on the Page. I'm Scott. This is Five-Year Battle, PG Wodehouse, years 1907 through 1911. Let's get into it. So, PG Wodehouse published 7 books between the years 1907 and 1911. And I know I said last time that I probably wouldn't do this video because I haven't finished books in time. I have finished books in time now, except for one exception, which I will talk about in a little bit. But the first book published in 1907 was The White Feather, which I've just finished a few days ago. It is about Sheen, a boy at Riken College. He's a studious boy who not really super outgoing, doesn't want to rock the boat or get in trouble or anything, and he walks away from a fight between schoolboys and town boys. The schoolboys and town boys are always looking to fight each other because they're stupid. And Sheen is seen basically walking away from it and gets ostracized by pretty much everybody at school because of it, because fighting is manly, I guess. And so he decides he needs to basically win his honor back. He takes boxing lessons from Joe Bevan, who was a professional boxer. And basically, it's his quest to do that while also basically all year long being ostracized by everybody, basically given the silent treatment. Now, I will say I kind of understand the defend your school, even though we're basically picking a fight for no reason. But also, these other boys, some of them, have shown that they're less than honorable in other areas of life. So it doesn't really mean a lot to me. Oh, like, you didn't get into a fight we picked and you have to be ostracized. Whereas I've done these horrible things to other students, and I'm just like, I still like the story. I like Sheen, and as I mentioned in my weekly wrap up, I really love the boxer Joe Bevan. Other characters I like. I just don't care for the, I guess, kind of discriminate school honor. But obviously, it's first book, so it's going to be #1 for right now. The second book, also published in 1907, is Not George Washington, which is not a school story. It's a semi autobiographical novel about a writer, James, who's engaged to Margaret. He is in London. He's writing. He's selling a lot of writing, making a lot of money. So he doesn't want to get married just yet. So he hatches a scheme to basically sell his writing through intermediaries under their names. So he basically can say, I'm not getting any money. I live in squalor. I'm a pauper. We can't get married yet. Then he also falls in love with this other girl, Eva, and she's blows off her cousin. It's 20th century, early 20th century England, so cousins were fine then, apparently. And the cousin falls in love with Margaret, and the people that he was using to sell his writing uh, basically find out that he's using 3 of them, and they basically get together and say, hey, you're doing this, we want more money. And then basically he says, well, I'm engaged to her now, I don't need you anymore. But they're like, okay, but this stuff was going here under my name, this stuff's still going to go here under my name, I'm getting the money. Everybody except for Margaret in this novel is an awful person. Did not enjoy this book. I don't think I would have finished it if I didn't need to. It's definitely going to be ranked under The White Feather. The next book is the Guide by the Way book, published in 1908, and it is one I have not read because I can't. The book is not much in publication. It's apparently a very small book, short essays, it seems like. I could get it, and if somebody would like to PayPal me, Venmo me like $650 to purchase it, I will gladly do that and append it to the end of this video. But barring that, no real chance I can read it. I can't find anything online that tells me what exactly the contents of it are so that maybe I could find them another way. So I don't have it. Can't rank it. But I will say it's nonfiction. I've read a few books by Wodehouse that are nonfiction. I'm reading another one at the moment. There's no way, no how, that a nonfiction Wodehouse book is going to top the list. So I'm going to put this as NA, not applicable, just can't do it. I would say there's a very good chance that it would be at the bottom of this list, but I don't know if it would be under Not George Washington, which I don't know yet is at the bottom, but looking at the books, which I have, I'm pretty sure it is going to stay at the bottom. I'm ranking all of Wodehouse's books except one. And again, if you would like to buy me the book, I will rank it. I will redo this video. The next book is The Swoop, published in 1909. It is a invasion satire. Many countries take over England, like 9 different countries, and England's like, whoa, guess you took us over. And basically, nobody's like seems to care in England. They're like, okay, except for Clarence Chugwater, who is a 14-year-old Boy Scout. And apparently the Boy Scouts in early 20th century England are like the CIA and SEAL Team 6 put together because they got their shit together. They basically run the world. And it's basically about Clarence working the way to defeat these armies so that England is taken back by these people who don't particularly care one way or the other. I said in my weekly wrap-up, it's a satire. I just don't think Wodehouse is the type of person who could do satire. Not because I don't think he can make it humorous, but he's such an apolitical person. He doesn't do politics. You can see that through his career, how he basically he's got blinders on and he doesn't do that. So it's a very short book also. So it was somewhat humorous, but I just don't think he had the steel to make it the satire that it needed to be. So I'm going to rank it above Not George Washington. The next book is Mike, published in 1909. Mike includes 2 novels that were originally published separately, Mike at Riken and Mike and Smith. Mike at Riken is basically about Mike Jackson going to Riken and playing cricket there, and basically his adventures there. And then Mike and Smith he ends up having to go to another school, Sedley, I believe, and he meets Rupert Smith there, who, if anybody has paid attention to our podcast that I do with my daughter Robin, is Robin's least favorite character. I do not particularly like Smith, but I wouldn't say he's my least favorite character. I like Mike overall. I do like Mike at Riken better more than Mike and Smith. I just enjoy the character Mike Jackson as a character, and I'm saddened that throughout the Mike and Smith books, his page time keeps shrinking, so much so in the last Smith book, which is also a Blandings Castle book, Leave It to Smith, Mike appears maybe a total of 15 pages, maybe. But Mike, the entire novel is, I think, kind of the turning point from the school stories to the more comic writing that he does. I think Love Among the Chickens in 1906 is a good step, but I think this is where you can get some of the full Wodehouse effect. I'm a little bit torn because I just finished The White Feather this week. In my head, I think I might like it better, but I definitely like Mike Jackson more than any character in The White Feather. I think I'm going to put Mike just a little bit above The White Feather. My mind may change later, but I feel comfortable when I go The White Feather number one, Mike second, Mike number one, The White Feather second. I just feel more comfortable with Mike being number one. We'll see if I have any books to go ahead of it. I don't think I do, but we'll see. Gentleman of Leisure, published in 1909 also, is about Jimmy, who is a baronet who also happens to have at one point been a jewel thief. He's fallen in love with a woman because, of course, always. He befriends a small time burglar and they get caught in a police captain's house. The woman that he fell in love with happens to be the police captain's daughter. There's also a little bit to do with the theater. I think it was a fine novel, but I have to be honest. I think I read it last year and I actually had to look it up again. It's like, oh, okay, it's coming back to me. The best I could say about it is that it's inoffensive. It was fine when I was reading it, but it's not particularly memorable. It doesn't stand out. There are some Wodehouse standalone novels that are just amazing. This one was fine. I like Jimmy, and it's fine. It's I don't think it's a bad word to say something's mediocre because it's kind of, yeah, it's there. It occupied some time. I'm going to put this above The Swoop. The last book, published in 1910, is Smith and the City. It is a Mike and Smith book. They have now graduated, and Mike's father is in financial straits. He can't afford to send him to college, so Mike has to go start working at a bank. Smith decides to come work at the bank also. There are adventures in the bank. Smith decides that he needs to teach the bank president a lesson and basically goes about his way to do it. The bank president really didn't do anything to him. And I mean, they got into a disagreement at Smith's estate where Smith's father was, but that was basically it. This is kind of the book where it's like, oh, Smith is a psychopath. I enjoy Mike. This is a novel where they're about equal time. Mike had more time. Next one would be Smith Journalist. It's definitely more Smith. It is enjoyable for a large portion of the Smith parts. I like some of the other characters in there. Smith kind of drags everything down, and you kind of just want him. I'm going to put this under The White Feather, I think. So, book number 7 doesn't exist. It's not applicable. It is the Globe by the Way book. But Book number 6 is Not George Washington. Book number 5 is The Swoop. Book number 4 is A Gentleman of Leisure. Book number 3 is Smith in the City. Book number 2 is The White Feather. And book number 1 is Mike. That's it for this one. Please like and subscribe, leave a comment, and I will talk to you next time.